Hey everybody, this is Shrap from Shrap's Crap, and today I want to talk to you about a new and upcoming MMORPG called Ashes of Creation, something that I have dubbed Ashes of PvP. Now, keep in mind that I'm not flaming the game at all. I'm actually trying to incentivize them to make a couple little tweaks that I think could make that game incredible and very, very profitable. So I'm going to put up my argument, my best argument, and I hope that you guys leave feedback down in the comments. Now, I didn't want to push this game and I didn't want to give it any kind of negative feedback, so I'm using my old YouTube channel. I'm up at my cottage right now and I don't want to, go through this big video editing process or nothing like that. But because the game is in early development, I decided to go ahead and just create a little feedback video about it. So I'm going to be sloppy on this video, and I want to apologize for that in advance. But anyway, so let's talk a little bit about statistics before I give any kind of feedback. So if we look at the MMO industry, right now it's right around globally, it's right around 100 to 105 billion per year, and that includes both the console and the PvP market. That also includes the mobile market, meaning cell phone games and tablets. So it's a very, very big industry, very profitable. But one thing that's very interesting, if you look at the statistics for the global industry, and in particular in the Western markets, being North America and Europe, you'll find that the MMORPG industry is thriving, but the sword and board dragon themed fantasy games are on a decline. I'm going to pull up a list, and again, I'm being sloppy about this. I don't really want to edit the video just because I'm busy. But anyway, I want to pull up this list. I've got a few websites I'm going to talk about a little bit. But one thing you'll notice about this list is that primarily all of these are PvE games. Even games that you think are PvP, majority of their content is PvE. Like EVE Online, you'll spend 75% of your gameplay in PvE areas before you even get to PvP combat. So, same goes with PlanetSide 2. A lot of these games, they force you into tons of PvE content before you even qualify for their PvP content. And it's no different with Black Desert Online, which I got open right now. You can see on the bottom of the screen, I'm running my little alt around on a horse. Black Desert, Archage, all these games that have come out in recent years, they want you to go through their PvE content and they want you to build up your gear so that you qualify for a decent PvP game. And while doing this, they've thrown on some kind of a PvP penalty system, and it just doesn't work. The PvP crowd complains that it's too taxing on them. Why should I be penalized for doing what I want to do in a game? So they're pissed off about it. Now the PvE guys are saying, look, all we care about is questing, harvesting stuff for crafting, end game raid content, and grinding our characters and running up alts. They love alts. So if you look at this list, you'll find that a majority of these very successful games are PvE games. They have very little PvP content, period. And the only reason why these games still exist is because they're long-term retention, and that comes primarily from their PvE servers. Now, World of Warcraft is a great example. EverQuest 2 is a great example on this list. These companies actually had their own PvP servers and PvE servers. They also had mixed servers, or at least World of Warcraft did, and they still thrive for the most part in World of Warcraft. But here's the difference. EverQuest 2 started out, I want to say it's 8 PvP servers, and now they were down to 2, and then about 2 years ago they merged them into the live servers, the PvE servers, just because Nobody was playing the PvP servers. So if you look at statistics and if you look at these games' history, you'll find that the PvP players come to the games, they're there for the ooh and the ah, something new, but then they end up losing interest and leaving the game. The long-term money is coming from the PvE players, the guys that want to do endgame raid content and grouping and stuff like that. The other thing that's very important to note is that most of these games that are successful have very thorough and in-depth guild systems. Guilds create communities, guys. Guilds are where friendships form, and without them, you're setting yourself up for failure. So I was really excited when I watched the Ashes of Creation video where he talked about this will probably be the most thorough guild system ever created and stuff. I'm rooting in the background. I'm like, woo, that's awesome. So, let's talk about what I think they're doing wrong, though. And I think you know where I'm going because I've already, mentioned PvE and PvP a million times now. But back to the statistics. What's interesting about these statistics is that you'll find that the PC, the console, and the mobile markets are eventually going to merge into one. Sony Online Entertainment was sold to Daybreak, and when they did that, it created a new partnership between a large investment company and Sony. Now Sony is pumping out, of course, PlayStation 4 games, and they decided enough is enough. Why don't we just take PC games and console games and merge them together? It's now to the point where console games have really good video cards and they have great processors with internet capability. So the same thing is happening right now to mobile devices. Some of the new AMD processors were designed specifically for mobile phones and tablets. They're going into computers, guys. These are the new Ryzen processors. They were designed by Samsung for cell phones. So, excuse me. So, what we know is that eventually all these markets are going to merge into one, and they actually predict that by 2020 the gaming industry will be about $200 billion per year industry. That's great news. What's bad news for us as MMORPG lovers is that all these games, let's go back to this list, all these games are old. We need something new, something exciting. We need something to call home. So when I see games like Ashes of Creation coming out, man, I get excited. I'm like, woo, finally a new game in this genre that we can call home. Well, I say with a heavy heart that I've watched their videos and it sounds like they're going the route of PvP. Hence my little image I made here. Ashes of PvP. Again, I'm doing this sloppy. I'm not going to do any video editing, guys, but I think that this is going to harm the game more than it's going to help. They've not only announced that, they're going on this peer system, like this is the pillar of this pillar and this pillar and this pillar, but the fact is, PvP is damaging to any gaming community when you mix it with PvE players. There's no consensual combat. The guys in PvE, they want to run around again. They want to harvest. They want to do group content. They want to grind out new alts, and they want to raid and things like that. And while they're out there, if somebody just comes up and ganks them and just murders them, they're pissed. They just more than likely will just hit the power button and log off. They're done. This is where you're making a mistake. Is you're going to have these guys being victims to the PvP crowd, and there's a great thread in the forums for Ashes of Creation that talks about this. But you've already, you can see it already. You go into that thread in their forums, and you can see the PvPers saying, "Hey, you PvE pussies, you're a bunch of Care Bears that cry like little girls," and PvP guys tend to be very toxic. So when we get back to this list, let me show you. A lot of these guys, when Black Desert came out, you went to their forums and they're like, there's no fucking way I'm going to play a game where I'm forced into a PvP environment. They just didn't want open world PvP. That's why they didn't flock there. So, what can you do to rip this market share? To get all these guys to come to Ashes of Creation or another gaming company's new MMO? That's what you have, where you have to start. Is back to this little image that I made. You have to have PvE servers, you have to have combined servers, and you got to have PvP servers. These are dedicated, no penalty PvP servers. You have to appeal to all three playstyles. These are your three pillars, not some kind of quest system or how you affect the environment. This is your player retention. You are a business after all. This is your money that we're talking about. You want all three of these preferred play styles to call your game home. In order to do that, you got to separate them. You've got. All right, let's look at it this way. PvP games, they're obviously much cheaper to develop and maintain. PvP doesn't require any kind of storyline. It doesn't require puzzles or massive amounts of developer attention. You basically just create some kind of a combat system and maybe a reward, and players will just mindlessly beat their heads in. They'll kill each other. And, it's really easy thing to do, but when you're talking about focused PvE content, now that takes a lot more financial commitment. It honestly requires an immense upfront labor and continual ongoing content creation. So there's a big price difference when launching an MMO with which playstyle you go, but they're unique in Ashes of Creation in the sense that they're trying to create this, make your experience matter type of environment where if you harvest, if you kill, if you whatever you do in the world, it affects the way that the world evolves, and it's a great idea. But they made a tragic mistake already, in that they're not going to have very good player retention. And what I mean by that is they've already launched a video. I watched a video 2 days ago, I think it was, live on Twitch, where they announced that even the cities themselves will not be safe spots. So I don't know what they're thinking, but so you've got an entire PvP community that's feasting on these Care Bears, as they call them, and they say that they're putting in some kind of a penalty system, but it's irrelevant. Guys are going to have an entire guild that's targeting one person or an entire guild, and they can just take turns killing you. They can kill you 100 times in a row, and your only defense against it is to log off or create a new character on a different server. Unlike Black Desert Online, Ashes of Creation is not even going to have channels. So if you are being harassed in any way, there is no going to a new channel. There is no going to a city. There is no safe haven. So I'm boggled, guys. Developers from AOC team, what are you thinking? So, I don't know. I understand that you want to appeal to the PvP crowd. They bring in quick money. They're going to buy the game. They're going to throw some money at the game originally, but that community is toxic to your total player base. Now, you say in your videos that you want to bring the community together, and you're focusing way too much on PvP. That's the part of the player base that destroys communities. It doesn't build them. So you're making a tragic mistake there. Excuse me. PvP, it increases development costs when attempting to balance your classes. So it's not like you're saving a lot of money on the PvE creation. You don't often hear about PvE players saying, "Hey, my wizard is too OP," and "Hey, my cleric is healing too much." You only hear about that stuff when it comes to PvP combat. So, game developers, if you're watching this video, I would highly encourage you to create two separate versions of classes for your game so that there is no class balance issues. You make it really simple, stupid. You create them, and the only thing you have to tweak from that point on is your PvP side. And the PvE community is not going to complain about it. They're just going to play what they have right now. And, there might be a couple tweaks that you have to make. It's somebody might be a little OP on the damage parser or whatever, but it's not the same. You're spending a lot of time and a lot of money balancing a PvP class system than you are a PvE. So it's not like you're saving any money there. But anyway, what else do I want to talk about? Most PvE players, they focused on end game content, grouping and rating and stuff. And when we look at that list again, you'll find that a lot of these games that are still up and running in this list, it's because they have raiding content. And if they didn't have a lot of content, the players would just disappear. Out of all these games, I want to call out the developers for EverQuest 2 in particular. They have the best rating system of any game ever made. And not only that, but they pump out new raid content every 6 months. So that's huge, and I give them props for that. That's one of the coolest communities ever because these guys raid on a schedule. They raid, some guilds will raid 3 to 4 hours per night. There's a class dependency in that game which increases recruitment. It increases the interest of alts in leveling alts, playing alts and stuff. They have it down to a science when it comes to player retention, at least for the most part. They do some things wrong, but I give them a lot of credit for their rating and end game community. So good job, EverQuest team. When it comes to Planet side, they did absolute horrible job. When it comes to Terra, the pedophile game with little girls in miniskirts, they did a horrible job on most of their content, not all of it. But, again, the biggest thing that these games have in common is some kind of an end game. And when you're talking about PvP end game, there really isn't any. There is, of course, some kind of arena combat and things that you can do, but it's a simple system. You just create combat mechanics, and they go kill themselves. But eventually that gets boring, and they want to get into PvP and PvE content. And when they do that, this is where this community in the middle will excel. You want to be able to offer them some kind of a PvE for when they do get bored, but at the same token, you want to offer PvP to the PvE players that are bored of questing and things like that. It's an opt-in mechanic, but it's, they went to the server that does both. So you've made both people happy. Here's my advice to the Ashes of Creations team. Create PvE only servers. Change your mechanic for the node wars so that what happens is PvE focused. That's how it's altered. Harvesting, crafting, questing, raiding, grouping, whatever you want to do. Change it. Don't keep it the way it is. Now create another type of server that is mixed. Now you've appeased these guys. And then get into your deep, hardcore, 24-hour day, I want to blow people up crowd and make them a few servers for themselves. Remove the penalty system completely. That is my advice. Now what you've just done is you can now advertise to this community right here. You're going to get guys from World of Warcraft, from Star Wars Galaxies, EverQuest. They're all going to come here now because you've appealed to them. I don't know, guys. What you said in the video about not having safe zones and stuff, I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I would highly encourage you to take a look at that, revisit it, um, get into your forums and read the player feedback, man. Players are blowing up your forums right now, and there are no dev replies at all. So I felt I needed to put this video together. I'm opposed to your PvP system completely. I do want the option to PvP, but I'm not some diehard PvP fan. I'm an endgame raid guy personally, but you know, my preferences are not what I'm trying to challenge here. I just think you guys are making a business mistake in going down this route. You need to rethink that, and here's my advice right here: PvE servers, PvP, PvE servers, and then of course PvP servers. So anyway, sorry for the lazy, crappy video, and to the Ashes of Creation developers, I give you guys a round of applause. It's an awesome, awesome Kickstarter and an awesome game. It looks fantastic, but I really hope you think or rethink the whole PvP thing. So you need to reach out to that PvE crowd if you want to get to the long-term player base. But anyway, this is Shrap, and I'm out. Have a good day.